Hello, it's me, Recky, together with,
Carol.
and it's time for another reaction.
It's an reaction.
And this was suggested.
Yes, we had a community post and we got a lot of suggestions. So we're starting to.
It's good. Might be a sad one. A sad one because it. First of all, the video has poor quality. It's 360.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can actually see something.
Yeah.
From it, but just a heads up, it got some poor quality, and it's on a channel called what's the channel called? Hitser 911 something archives. Yeah. So it has a poor quality. And what do we know about it?
I don't know much. It's about 9/11.
It's about Operation Yellow Ribbon, which was something that Canada did to handle all the airplanes that was supposed to go to the United States, but of course got diverted due to the fact that there was a-holes doing terrorist attacks. I never heard of this. Of course, this is something I really do enjoy. When I watch this, of course, enjoy. Well, you know what I mean with enjoy, basically.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. Don't forget to smack a like and, of course, hit that subscribe. If you do enjoy this, we completely forgot in the previous videos that we do this. So think about that when you watch that video last. Oh, never mind. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We say thank you to everyone who support us. We say channel members of the Patreons. Okay, we have a big shout out to the Supreme Tier Donors over by Patreon, of course, channel membership. We have a personal shout out to the ultimate supporters, and that is Deja, Walt, Dwayne, Dana, Troy, Robert, Matt, Lon, Barbara, and Kevin.
Thank you.
Amazing list, right there.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
Now Moa is here.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out.
Yeah, we moved the reaction channel out in the kitchen because
reaction videos are done here.
Yeah.
So we want you guys to actually see this.
See our
this
proud
refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She can be with us too.
Yes, exactly. It's a 45-minute long video. So you're watching part 1.
Yes.
The part 2 will not be like, oh, it's going to come out in late February 2000. No. It's going to come out as fast as possible, of course. Yeah. So don't have to wait too long for it. So I think it's high time to do this.
Oh, I got Moa hair.
We've got Moa here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. It's a weird. It's a full crank on the volume here. For us, it might be super low because we're using this guys over here, and you guys it might be super loud.
Yeah,
so
but then you
be careful.
Yeah.
All right, be careful. Let's do this.
Mentioned earlier that Tom Brokaw had an extremely compelling piece. So without further ado, Tom Brokaw.
Now, this devastating earthquake in Chile is a reminder that when one country gets in trouble, it really does depend on the family of nations for help. That's been especially true between this country, Canada, and the U.S., of course. The ties between the United States and Canada are long and enduring, and not just in good times, it turns out. On September 11th, 2001, the people of Canada came to our aid, managing an unprecedented crisis in the skies. They also took care of tens of thousands of displaced passengers who arrived at their doorstep on short notice. This is the story of one small town that didn't get the attention it deserved in the chaotic aftermath of 9/11 in so many ways. It symbolizes the grace and the unselfish spirit of this very generous nation. September 11th, 2009. This is a scene that has played out in communities for 8 years since the terrorist attacks of 2001. But what makes this ceremony different is where it's taking place. This is the Appleton Peace Park near the town of Gander in Newfoundland, Canada, where during the tragedy of 9/11, there was a bright light on the better part of our humanity.
Holy shit, that's a church.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that has happened here. And we know that no matter what happens in the world, there are still good people.
If this place can be somehow shared with the world would be a much better place.
Here in Gander, amid the heartache, an autumn romance blossomed. Here, parents were constantly consoled as they faced wrenching pain. Here, thousands of stranded Americans would form a lasting bond with everyday Canadians who acted with admirable, unwavering kindness.
But I am very, very curious.
Well, my brain says that a ton of airplane landed where they shouldn't land
Okay.
because the destination was the United States.
Okay.
But United States shut down everything that has to do with air
Yeah.
during 9/11 situation,
Yeah.
and all the airplanes got diverted. Canada
Oh.
and Gander, it seems to be like a very, very small town.
Yeah.
They did something
Yeah.
which will probably cause you or even me to cry like a
Oh no.
baby.
Oh, I have paper here.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I'm
just
thinking.
okay. Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
We can never again look at the New York skyline without remembering that day, September 11th, when terrorists hijacked airliners loaded with passengers and jet fuel, flew them into the World Trade Center and killed 3,000 people, altering the lives of an untold number of others. Most of our attention that day, of course, was focused here in New York, but it was a story that reverberated around the world, and it had a special impact on a small Canadian town 1,000 miles north of here, a town that became a safe port in a storm of fear, terrorism, and uncertainty.
House in my hometown, and no one here gives a shit about the other one. There's only point that out.
Huh?
It is such a pretty morning, isn't it?
Perfect fall morning.
I don't want to see the tape.
On that September morning, air traffic control veteran Ben Slaney is on his first day in his new position as FAA National Operations Manager. Barely an hour into the workday, there is an ominous development.
You were trying
Wait a
to
minute.
locate
So that was his first day at the job. And this shit just goes completely south beyond all borders.
That must be here.
And he will have been working for an hour and that, yeah, okay, thank you. Nice, cool.
It had shut off its transponder and dropped below radar coverage.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the book is called Hughes. We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center.
A plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City.
We saw what appeared to be a fireball at the top of the World Trade Center.
We had reports of another aircraft that had deviated from its course.
Another one just hit. Something else just hit.
U.S. officials say it appears it was a third plane that hit the Pentagon.
I ordered a national ground stop, meaning that no other aircraft could take off. And whatever's necessary, just get them stopped now. I don't want any more planes on their frequency taking off.
56 minutes after the North Tower is struck, an unprecedented decision has been made. Every non-military plane must land immediately. For the first time ever, American airspace is closed. This is war. This is a declaration and an execution of an attack on the United States.
The only way to really sort the situation out was to land everyone in our airspace.
The FAA now says that all international flights headed for the United States are being diverted to Canada. Every day, as transatlantic flights enter and leave North American airspace, they are managed here, the Area Control Center in Gander, Newfoundland.
Gander 1174 Center, good day. Clear to send and maintain 6,000 people.
On September 11th, when U.S. airspace is shut down, there are almost 400 planes carrying tens of thousands of passengers westbound over the Atlantic. Around 200 are close enough to return to Europe. 167 more are too far across the ocean to turn back. When did you begin to be aware of what was about to happen in Gander? That flights that had been crossing the Atlantic more than halfway, many of them were going to be headed for Gander and St. John's and Halifax, but Gander would be the big magnet.
I knew that the Canadians were going to get an onslaught of traffic, and I suppose I hoped that they'd be able to handle that traffic.
60 north, 20 west.
The responsibility of handling the traffic falls to a small team led by Don O'Brien, the supervisor on duty at the control center for NAV Canada, the Canadian version of the FAA.
The arrival sector, we normally would have 3 controllers seated. We quickly went to 14. We train for emergencies, we train for bomb threats, but usually it's a single airplane or maybe a second one maybe, but not to this level. The activity was going on here.
Was another part of your mind thinking...
We don't understand the amount of airplanes that are up there at the same time, not just over the Atlantic.
No.
There's hundreds of thousands of planes up there at the same time. And he said that some of the planes were too far over the ocean to turn back to Europe, and they have to be diverted to Canada instead. The job or behind this is one of those stories that we never would find out if we not got the suggestions from you guys.
Exactly.
And I know it's a painful documentary, but I think that we need to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's do more a couple of minutes, then we. Think about 20 minutes, then we can part 2.
Yeah.
About what had happened in New York and the possibility that there were more terrorists out there?
I'm sure it went through the controllers' heads, it went through my head, but sure, some of those airplanes could have been missiles. We didn't know how extensive this was, but that wasn't our call, really. We just had to get those airplanes on the ground safely.
One of the pilots approaching Newfoundland is Beverly Bass, the first female captain at a major airline. She's flying American Flight 49 from Paris to Dallas with 170 people on board.
From the controller's standpoint, they feared that another airplane was going to be taken down. Some of the airplanes were given directions to turn around and go back to their departure city. So we're sitting there cruising westbound and looking out the window, and you can actually see them turn and make 180s and head back to Europe.
Newfoundland is an island located off the eastern edge of North America. The 167 planes approaching Canada all must land immediately. The vast majority at small airports around the island and in the nearby maritime provinces, all controlled in Gander. Over the next 7 hours, Gander Control and the surrounding airports will handle unprecedented traffic under extreme emergency conditions.
Gander Air India 113, we go to Toronto. Air India 113 Center, negative. You must now land at Gander. Turn right heading 320. Roger, turning right heading 320.
Flight paths must be recalculated in 3 dimensions, accounting for speed, direction, altitude. Some planes are too heavy to land and must jettison fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
The risk of collision is ever present.
So they basically has to jettison.
This is
Jettison means that they have to drop in air.
Yeah.
Pretty much jettison anything. They need to be way lighter so they can land on. They normally land on huge airports. I don't know if Gander Airport is a huge one, but they have to do that because they're super heavy.
Yeah.
That's freaking me out. Let's picture it. They're dropping out thousands of gallons of jet fuel in the air.
Actual radar tape from that morning.
Oh, wow.
Now you're starting to
Look at
turn
that.
toward Gander.
Yes, we got the word, of course, and we had to heel them all northward into Gander, St. John's, and Stephenville. Some of them knew there was activity going on in Kennedy, and there was a crisis in American airspace. Some of them didn't. We were telling them, look, you got to land. They said, no, we're going on to Kennedy or Dallas or wherever. They said, no, you're not.
In the air, as they learn the shocking details, captains worry their own planes could be carrying hijackers, forcing many to hide the truth from their passengers.
Our captain came on the PA system and announced that we had a slight mechanical problem, something to do with an indicator signal or something like that. We were going to have to put down in Gander to have it repaired.
Shirley Brooks Jones is a retired fundraising administrator for Ohio State, returning home from Frankfurt, Germany, on board Delta Flight 15.
Once we got parked, the captain came back on the intercom, apologized to us for the ruse, and said actually the equipment was fine, but there was a national emergency in the United States.
3 aircraft that we know of were commandeered. One was crashed into each of the World Trade Center towers in New York City, and another was crashed into the Pentagon outside Washington, D.C.
Apparently some type of what would appear to be maybe a terrorist activity or hijacking has occurred with airplanes which apparently have impacted the World Trade Center in New York City.
On September 11th, 8 domestic flights are scheduled to land in Gander. Instead, 38 planes carrying almost 7,000 people are beginning to fill the tarmac.
So they went from receiving 8 that day to 38 that day.
That's...
I don't know how the size of Gander International Airport, so...
No.
The spectacle has drawn a crowd from among the town's 10,000 citizens. Oz Fudge is one of just 2 officers on the local police force.
I watched the plane come in, then I seen a jumbo come in, and then I seen another one come in, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, holy God! If there's 200 people on each one of these planes, and we're going to get 40 or 50 planes, that's an awful lot of people.
Yeah.
Less than 2 hours after American Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the skies over the United States are empty. For the first time, American airspace is completely closed. In Canada, the Gander Area Control Center somehow lands all 167 planes without incident.
What?
It was a sigh of relief. You wipe your brow, you thank God they all got in safely, and it was unbelievable to go from this horrific activity, and then the airspace is completely sterilized. Nobody there. No targets on the radar screen.
Here in New York, the sad task of the search for the survivors and the victims goes on and on. In New York, citizen volunteers are flooding toward Ground Zero as emergency workers search for survivors. 1,000 miles from the destruction, the 10,000 residents of the peaceful Canadian town of Gander, with virtually no time to prepare, must also respond with countless acts of generosity, providing food and shelter for thousands of frightened passengers, strangers who have suddenly arrived at their door. Among the stranded, far from home, are the parents of a New York City fireman. Not knowing if their son is at Ground Zero, Hannah and Dennis O'Rourke fear they may never see him again.
Okay.
Thousands of transatlantic flights underline the strategic importance of Newfoundland's airports.
Gander was an airport before it was a town. In
Yep.
the late 1930s, British and American military officials chose this site on the eastern edge of the continent to build the largest airport in the world. During World War II, this was a takeoff place for American military aircraft headed for the European theater. After the war, Gander continued to play a vital role as a refueling stop for transatlantic commercial airliners. But then, the jumbo jets came along. They could cross the Atlantic non-stop. And Gander's role in aviation was greatly reduced until September 11th, when Gander came alive again. A safe harbor for the jumbo jets that had almost put it out of business. And within a matter of hours, this vast tarmac was filled with planes from around the world, parked wingtip to wingtip.
Canada is basically becoming a gigantic runway for every plane and aircraft that was destined for the United States today.
In Gander, no one is allowed off the planes until customs and security are in place. Run by airport officials and officers from the regional headquarters of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties. They must process each passenger, plane by plane, until authorities are certain there are no terrorists on board. Among the trapped passengers is New York State Police Officer George Vitale, who is returning from Ireland, where he was doing advanced security for New York Governor George Pataki.
We were on this plane for 19 hours, sat on the tarmac, not really knowing what was going on outside, but knowing that it was pretty horrific.
The number of casualties will be more than any of us can bear, ultimately. And I don't think we want to speculate on the number of casualties. The effort now has to be to save as many people as possible.
There is another New York couple on the Gander tarmac whose connection to the events back home couldn't be more personal.
I just wanted to get off the plane and see what was happening, because I was hoping my son wasn't working that day.
Dennis and Hannah O'Rourke have been visiting relatives in Ireland. When they learn what has happened, they fear for their 44-year-old son, Kevin O'Rourke, a firefighter from Rescue 2 in Brooklyn.
Yes, it goes back many years to when I was a kid. The apartment building I lived in, over the years I was in, I ended up having 3 different fires. So I was carried out as a child by a firefighter. So I have fond memories, I have memories that go back to, all of a sudden, in the smoke, this big guy comes up, grabs me, and carries me down the stairs.
When he was going for his fire test, and he said, "Mom, you pray for me." And I said, "Yeah, Kevin, yeah." He said, "Pray for me to pass." I said, "Yeah, Kevin." So he missed it by, 1 or 2 points, and he came home that night and he looked at me. He says, "You didn't pray for me. I didn't pass." I says, "No, Kevin, I prayed for you, you'd fail." So he says, "Mom, that's all I want. That's my calling, is to be a fireman."
While the desperate rescue operation continues in New York, Gander begins the process of absorbing all those passengers. So many that in a matter of hours they will nearly double the local population.
Now, Gander is a town of barely 10,000 people. There was over 6,000 of us. Now, if you extrapolate the numbers, New York City is 8 million people, so what's that? 6 million people showing up on your door saying, okay, we're here, do something.
The painstaking process of registering and removing each passenger continues through the night.
Finally, we're free. We're free. We're on the ground after more than 24 hours. We have no idea where we're going, but we're going.
It is not until noon on Wednesday, September 12th, when the last passengers are finally allowed into the Gander terminal. They are exhausted and confused, most not knowing where in the world they have landed.
Going to bus you into Gander.
That's exactly where am I? Well, you are here
in Canada. I think confusion must be real when you're just sitting on a plane and just okay, something problem, and you just land somewhere.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't believe the pilots didn't want to say that what happened. Some said that was a technical failure instead of saying this happened.
Exactly.
If you come from New York, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they tried to cover up the panic and the
in the area,
emotions in the area. Do you want to watch more?
We can take a little bit more.
Yeah.
Gander, which is just a few minutes away. We're not sure when the FAA is going to open up the United States to travel again. The Department of Transportation in Canada has all air traffic in Canada shut down right now. When you see the footage of what has happened, you'll appreciate why things have been done the way they are.
Yeah.
The only vehicles available to transport the great volume of passengers from the airport are school buses, and the local bus drivers happen to be on strike.
We were told at the time we got a crisis on our hands, and the strike never came into effect whatsoever. All the bus drivers came back, every one, and we all came back and we did our job.
Where are they taking them?
They laid down their picket signs, they went and took their buses and they drove it, and for the next 4 or 5 days just helped out wherever they could. And that's what we're made of. That's the type of people we are. Even though those bus drivers had a dispute with their employer, they had no dispute with the people that landed here.
We'll do the best we can to look after this. If there's anything you need, anything at all, I mean anything, just ask, and you will be taken care of, bottom line, okay? We're going to make it as comfortable as possible.
Oh my God!
Yeah, me too.
As passengers arrive in town,
yeah.
The locals rush to meet them with home-cooked meals. Among them is lifelong Gander resident Beulah Cooper, an organizer at the Canadian Legion Hall.
7 o'clock that night, I got a phone call from the Legion and asked me to do a tray of sandwiches. They have them down there by 8 o'clock. I didn't know what was going on. Brought down a tray of sandwiches and I found out about the planes. Your heart went out to each and every one of them. Because the first thing you do is put yourself in their shoes and know how you would feel.
Currently there are thousands of people in Gander and surrounding area that need your help. Please come to their assistance, lend a hand, lend a meal, offer your services wherever possible.
Passengers are not allowed to remove their check bags from the plane, so the clothes on their backs and in their carry-ons may be all they'll have for days. Ganderites respond, donating clothing and opening their shops free of charge.
Show your boxes to the camera.
Hundreds of passengers are also without their prescriptions until owners of the 2 local pharmacies working day and night and across language barriers can fill them all, again, at no cost.
They were able to go into the stores and just take items off the shelves. I'm not even sure they had to pay for them. The people were so accommodating in Gander.
This is our cook. Our chef. Oh, you chef.
Even with all the kitchens firing around town, the local citizens cannot possibly feed 7,000 people. The Red Cross and Salvation Army send additional food and supplies, fueled by donations from throughout Newfoundland.
I can't thank everybody enough.
I think we need...
He can finish talking, so we...
Brilliant. Everyone seems to have pulled together, you know. It's amazing where all the stuff has come from.
I think that's perfect, because I need to take a breath. And I think this is only going to get...
even worse, honey.
Even worse. And
So,
I need to...
Part 2 coming up very soon. And again, if you do enjoy this, let us know what you think about this entire situation.
I mean...
We don't understand.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. No,
I didn't know this at all. I mean, of course, when you think about it, all the things around this horrible,
tragedy.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
But you didn't think of that.
No, there's a lot of things. There was you haven't seen Boat Lift either.
No.
That's something you can definitely watch too. That's even worse. I
Okay.
never knew about this, so
No, this is.
we can definitely do a reaction to Boat Lift too.
Mm-hmm.
It was in New York,
Oh.
and it's one of those or documentaries where it hits you not in your heart but in your soul.
Okay.
So
Mm.
let us know if you. I've seen it. I've seen Boat Lift. It's on my Recky channel. Carol hasn't. If you want us to check that out, let us know in the comments. Other than that,
Yeah.
part 2 coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. I'm Recky.
And I'm Carol.
You.
Stay safe.